there's a lot of Kurdish activity that is in unity with the rest of Iran for Iran. So the reason the reason why I want to say this is because a lot of people keep noticing Kurdish activity, only the separatist part. But the Kurdish people are very, very active as part of the national revolution. So it's a little bit frustrating that is not being highlighted as much as. So imagine if you have like 5% or 3% of the population calling for separatist activity, and then you have 95% of the Kurds being part of our national revolution. And every time we're discussing the Kurds, we're talking about, we're highlighting that activity, the separatist activity,
Hmm.
and we're not noticing the 95% that are working for a free Iran in unity with the rest of Iran.
Yeah, I think it's just because it's hard to kind of grab. Because if you think about Rojava and all other things with the Kurds, like Iran will
Rojava
be
is not
such an
Iran.
exceptionist.
Rojava is not Iran. That's other countries.
That's
That's not
Syria.
our business.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
the
yeah,
Kurdish area of Syria.
yeah. It's just that the general impression people have. So that's why I
Yeah,
think
but
it's
that but,
a
but
concern.
our Kurds are not their Kurds. Our Kurds are different from their Kurds.
Yeah, it's
Okay,
good to
so
know.
Rojava has nothing to do with this. Rojava, our Kurds don't want Rojava. Rojava is a bunch of communist separatists in Syria. Has nothing to do with our Kurds. We can't just like look at all the Kurds as if like they're just one block, think the same, act the same, want the same thing. It's not
Even
like
though they
that.
like to portray it sometimes or want to. I mean, maybe need to,
Even
I
though
guess.
what?
Well, I mean, even though
L-
they kind of like to
Let's move
portray
on with the
portray themselves.
Kurds.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
No, portray themselves. Oh, the
Like
separatists want to
like
act like.
the Kurdish movement, like as a sense of like it's one people and one like a sense of unity is always portrayed
No,
from
they
their
not.
side necessarily.
I mean, I've seen Kurdish people talk about how different they are all the time.
Yeah, the movements that we keep hearing about, they
Yeah,
have the loudest
yeah.
voices.
The
Yeah,
separatist groups try to put out the propaganda that they represent all Kurds, and they don't.
that's why I kind of pointing out because I think that's where it comes in that the prominent ones that people hear about,
Yep.
and then when you hear about Kurds in Iran, it's hard to grasp that it's actually not the same dynamic of it. But yeah, I don't want to be holding it off too long as I also wanted to move on.
No, no,
So
no.
thank you.
But
Yeah,
thank you. Yeah.
I'm start to crave for stuffed peppers from this conversation. Now we
But I mean,
have
Uncle Coping, your background was very good. I don't know why you're using that. I like your flag and everything. But yeah. But anyways, let's go.
Bet
Lighting and yeah,
Beto.
because I've been having problem with the cameras. I didn't want to care to set up and then nothing works anyways.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
like,
Okay.
in
We'll
case,
Okay.
forgive
Okay.
you.
yeah.
Beto, Beto, Piotr, Peter. You gotta press the little mic thingy in order to speak. We can't hear you.
Unmute yourself.
You're
Click
muted
the
right
mic.
now. Figure it out. I'll circle back to you, Beto.
So let's say the regime falls. What would prevent from countries around that consider to be more problematic from trying to take control of Iran, trying to start more wars, or at least try to grab parts of the land, make more of a mess? Because we all know that the transition period, even though there are the plans, there are all kinds of things uh, that we all know that it's going to be first worse before it gets better.
Yeah. So once the Islamic Republic falls, the most important thing is to bring order and stability as fast as possible. Okay. And this is why. Prince Reza Pahlavi for a long time has talked about not repeating the mistake that happened in Iraq, which was the de-Baathification, right? So in Iraq, Saddam was a member of the Ba'ath Party, and the Americans. This is why I think that the toppling of Saddam was not a mistake. The de-Baathification that came after was the mistake, caused the instability, right? So the Americans decided to dismantle that completely, and then basically this is a lot of people. Like even if you were just a member of there were people who didn't even know that they were the member of Ba'ath Party, and then they realized once the Americans stopped banned them from entering the government, like, oh my, I was a member, I didn't know. So they basically anybody that had anything to do with the Ba'ath Party was banned from taking part in the government, and that created a power vacuum that eventually gave rise to the rise of ISIS and a decade of chaos in Iraq, right? So this is why Prince Reza Pahlavi constantly emphasizes on maintaining all the system, even though it might be really painful to say for a lot of Iranians, because the Iranians have been really suffering under the Islamic Republic, but we need to maintain a lot of the system, continue it, and also a lot of the people who are working right now for the Islamic Republic need to keep their jobs. Like, we're only basically going to be removing the highest level commanders, like, and the leaders, and also people with evidence that they have blood on their hand. Those are the only people we're going to go after, but everybody else needs to keep their job and continue things as they are, especially the Artesh, which is like the non-ideological.
Don't you think that will cause even more problems from like the Iranian people, that they will feel betrayed that once Pahlavi finally back, like, because we know that Pahlavi talks a lot about the long-term plan. That's right now not really available for Iranians because of the whole internet thing. So don't you think that the moment they see that, oh, okay, the IRPs are gone, but they keeping all those people, they see them as like, oh, all of them are the regime. So like, wouldn't they feel betrayed?
So this is the power of Pahlavi, right? Because the only person that could convince the Iranian people to basically not go Old Testament on everybody in the Islamic Republic is Pahlavi, the only person that has a chance of, because this is necessary. Like, I know we want revenge, I know we want blood, but we also want our country to survive, and we want stability. And a lot of people, Iranians, are really, really looking forward to basically spill blood in response to the blood that was spilled. But the only person that they would listen to that could convince them that this is not the way to show some restraint is Prince Reza Pahlavi. And we already know that because Prince Reza Pahlavi has been saying this for a long time. So this is not going to be new. Like, the Iranian people, the idea of showing any mercy to anybody within the Islamic Republic was completely, if I said that before Prince Reza Pahlavi said that, I would be considered a traitor and part of the Islamic Republic. But then I realized many years ago how powerful Prince Reza Pahlavi is, how big his influence is, because when he came out and said it, it immediately became normalized in Iranian political discussion that, okay, guys, like, we're not crazies, like, we're not like radicals. Of course, we're going to be acting civilized. Like, what are you guys talking about? Like, yesterday, if I said that, you would be calling me a traitor and part of the regime. Now all of a sudden you're like, yeah, of course, we're civilized people, we're not going to do that. So that's how influential Pahlavi is. And it's going to be interesting to see if he's going to be able to do that again after all of this blood was spilled, right? So the level of blood that was spilled, like, honestly, I'm also feeling like I'm becoming more and more radicalized every day, and I'm trying to not to. But every day that goes by and every video that comes out, I get the sense that I'm becoming more and more radical and less civilized. And so many of my standards seems to be like becoming more shaky as days go by. So I hope, like, I don't know, I can hold on to my standards based on what I'm experiencing. But yeah, so this is a challenge, obviously, but it's a challenge that we have to go through. And it's exactly why the Prince Reza Pahlavi is the only person that could make this possible. But it's necessary. Nobody suggested that any of this is going to be easy, but it's what has to be done.
Okay, thank you.
Peter, did you figure out your microphone?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Have I got an echo or anything?
No, you don't.
Oh, good. So, first of all, I've been following you for about 7 or 8 years. I'm wanted to talk about. One was about the protest in London last night. Have you seen the tweets by Andrew Fox, who's saying that the Iranian protesters are violent?
No, I haven't seen it. What did he say?
Do you know who Andrew Fox is? He's a very pro-Israel commentator.
What did he say in short?
He was saying he knew one of the police officers who was there, and he was saying that the Iranian protesters are being violent, and that's basically why the police were responding the way they were.
Wait, he's repeating regime propaganda?
Well, no, this is in London. So
Listen, I've seen the arrests. live. So I don't know, even if they were violent,
Oh,
because you can always say,
oh, in
uh,
London. Okay.
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
sorry.
You can always say like you didn't see what happened that lead to this type of arrest. Sure, I am
Yeah,
agree.
because I think
I've also been in the Israeli border police. That was my military service. So I've arrested some people, and let me tell you, after you handcuff a person, there's no reason to lay with your entire weight on his head against the asphalt. I don't know what you're trying to achieve when you do that. I don't know what part of the arrest is that and for what it's for, but it's hard for me to believe because of it that they
Not
were
to mention that then in London specifically, we many times see different treatment to depending on which side is the
right,
protest.
right. Do you remember the cage protest of the Jews?
Oh yeah. Oh my god.
Okay, so I'm not. So I don't like the Metropolitan Police.
So with regards to that, by the way, guys, sorry, I didn't know you were talking about London. Okay, so
sorry.
I don't really know what happened in London, right? So I just say like I'm not going to come and say like, oh, the Iranian people were doing right and the police was wrong just because I happen to be Iranian. And
I will say it.
maybe huh?
I know. I
You
will
were in
say it.
London?
You in
No, I'm
London?
just
No,
saying no, I'm not. I'm just saying I don't know what happened. So I'm just going to say like what I'm saying is that I I'm just trying to say that just because I'm Iranian, I'm not going without proper information. I'm not going to come and say, "Oh, the Iranian people didn't do anything wrong, and the police was wrong, and there was no act of like the police was unjustified." I only comment on things I know. I just want to say like I'm not going to take this tribal attitude that because I'm Iranian and the protesters were Iranian, therefore nothing wrong happened and the police was unjustified to do things. Maybe it were unjustified, but I haven't had the time to look into what exactly happened. Maybe they were justified, maybe they weren't justified. I don't really know. I only know the part that they tell me that the police is more violent towards these protesters compared to what they were doing to the Palestinian protesters. They were being more aggressive sometimes. So I don't know. That's what I'm hearing, but I haven't like. I'm just trying to advocate for skepticism and not to just take a side based on which side we are on, right? Let's just like if we don't know, we don't know, right? We'll just have to wait for more. I mean, at least I have to wait for more information. If you guys have more information than me, then yeah, I'll just listen.
So the other thing I was going to ask about is how Iranians are rejecting Islam so much, and how much do you think the fact that they kept their language is a factor in that, and what other factors are there?
So the causality is the other direction. It's not that they're rejecting Islam because of their language. Their language didn't change because of the resistance to Islam. So I think the causality is the other way around. Iranian culture is more deep rooted in Iran. So Iranian culture acts as a resistance towards Islamification of Iran. So originally, the reason why Iran after the Arab invasion and Arab takeover of Iran, the language did not turn into Arabic like the many other countries around the region, was because of the strength and the deep roots of the Persian culture, which resisted that happening to it. So, what you're seeing, by the way, it's true that like Iranians did become Muslim, but there was something that stayed, you know, what I mean, something that was unable to be taken away. So this what you're witnessing right now is it's not a 47-year process. What you're experiencing right now is the end of a 1400-year process. The Iranians have been working on returning to their culture not for the past 47 years after the Islamic Revolution, but they have been working on this for the past 1400 years. There was something that was taken away from the Iranians, but there was something that was left deep within the roots of our culture that has been growing and growing and always been trying to express itself. It expressed itself, and eventually it managed to get to the point where it had a full comeback. So a lot of people think that we've been fighting this for 47 years. We haven't. We have been fighting this for 1400 years. And this is why this is so significant, because this is not a fight against just the Islamic Republic. This is a fight against the Islamic invasion that started many hundreds of years ago. That finally we're winning.
okay.
So,
Let me go on the list real quick because I
thanks.
see that people are starting to lose faith. We have Now we have Savannah, Daniel Dom, Jeffrey, Spivak, and that's it, right? I think so. So please, Savannah.
Second, I just have a few questions and I have them written down.
The Kurdish people are an ethnic group that have their own ancient pre-Islamic culture. They're basically Indo-Europeans, just like Persians, but they speak a different language. They speak the Kurdish language rather than the Persian language, and they don't have their own country, and their population is mostly in an area that is divided on 4 different countries: Iran, Iraq, Syria, and Turkey. And they have been fighting to have their own Kurdistan for their own country. So they have been fighting against the governments of the countries that are in for either full autonomy or complete separatism. In all of those countries, there's some elements of Kurdish separatists. Not all of them. Some of them, like in Iran, that's you see much less of that. But they're known for fighting for autonomy or their own country in these 4 countries. That's what people know them
Okay.
for.
So the executions have been, from what I know, that they have been like suspended. I, do we know if that is
They
temporary
haven't.
or
It's bullshit.
They haven't
okay?
been.
Okay.
Yeah. In fact,
I
in the
don't
show
want to
today,
be
we had both the person responsible for the cases of the arrested people and also the head of the judiciary confirming that we're going to go ahead with the executions immediately.
okay. I don't want to be negative. I just want to be like real and try to see things from anything can happen, right? So I wanted to ask, like, what does it look like and what are the next steps for citizens if the regime doesn't fall? If they don't win this, what are the next steps for the citizens?
So Iranian citizens, the next step is to keep fighting until they
No,
fall.
no.
There's no other option. Oh.
She says if the revolution doesn't succeed. So what is the
Right.
prediction? What is the
There
prediction to the
is no.
people? I said North Korea.
So here's the thing: the revolution will not end until the regime falls, right? The Islamic Republic is eventually going to fall, and the Iranian people have no choice but to continue to fight until it falls. So, what do you do if your fight doesn't get you the success that you wanted for your revolution at the time that you wanted? You continue the fight until you win the revolution at a different time. But there's no option other than, I mean, especially after the blood that was spilled, there is no going back to normal.